on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day so far. Today, I have something very special for you. I am very excited to go over this today. Now, recently, you may have noticed that the stock markets are making headlines, right? The Dow Industrial rallies 5.1% on central bank stimulus hopes. You can see down here, it was the biggest one-day percentage gain since March of 2009, and its biggest point advance on record. Now, it wasn't just the Dow Jones. We had the NASDAQ putting in an incredible bounce back, as well as the S&P 500. Now, having a look at Bitcoin, even though we are having a nice green day today, Bitcoin is only up 1.27%. Now, a lot of people have said that Bitcoin is actually correlated with the stocks. Therefore, Bitcoin really isn't the safe haven asset that everybody has been saying it was supposed to be. Well, I have a very interesting video today to show you guys. I want to go into what exactly Bitcoin is doing right now, because you can see we didn't have that major bounce back. I mean, we got down to 8,400, but we're only up 1.56%. Whereas if we take, the Dow Jones, just for example, today we had a bounce back of 4.3%, and it is very rare that you see the stock markets outperforming Bitcoin in either direction. Usually if they're pumping, Bitcoin pumps more, and if Bitcoin happens to be dumping with them, it tends to dump more as well. Well, we are going to debunk that today. I want to talk to one trader that you may not be very familiar with. This analyst literally called the absolute bottom at around $6,400 for Bitcoin, and he has agreed to come on and share some very interesting secret patterns about Bitcoin, some charts that not a lot of people are talking about that are very exclusive to just Bitcoin that could hold the key to what Bitcoin is going to do next. Now, he is anticipating a $16,000 Bitcoin by the summer of this year. He's also going to go into death crosses versus bull crosses and why Bitcoin doesn't exactly react to these like we would normally see in the traditional markets, and also some insane coincidences potentially between Bitcoin and gold. And if that sounds good to you guys, you are definitely not going to want to miss out on today's video. It is very technical analysis heavy, but trust me, watch this video to the end and your mind is going to be absolutely blown. Hence why I haven't really made a video. I've been trying to wrap my head around this myself. So definitely stick around for that. If you're not subscribed, you're going to want to get subscribed. Also, make sure you turn on the bell notification and hit that thumbs up so we can help push this video so more people can see this, because this is some information that I just feel really isn't out there. So having a look essentially though, there is one thing I wanted to point out before we get into the video, and that is the fact that if we actually look at what Bitcoin did leading up into the last halving, which is this bottom chart, and we look at the chart above, you'll actually notice that Bitcoin is doing almost the exact same thing. Pretty crazy for a asset that's following all the other charts, right? We're going to talk about that. Now, super quick, having a look at Bitcoin, we do notice that we did bounce off the 20 weekly moving average, which is something that a lot of people were looking at. We're also above the 21 exponential. Short term, this is very bullish, right? We also had a beautiful bounce off of the 200 daily right here. You could see just before it was actually acting as a bit of resistance. We spiked above it, and we did have a nice bounce off of that. So that also is short term bullish as well. But the question is, are we out of the woods just yet? Because we do know that if Bitcoin was to break out of this ascending pattern right here and we fell, well, that could risk Bitcoin falling all the way down to potentially $5,000 and lower. But that being said, guys, why should I have all the fun today? Let's dive in. Let's have a look. Now, this is Thomas from Team Underground. Now, this guy literally dropped out of school. He's been a full-time trader. I've been following him very close. He has only 113 subscribers, and if you go through these videos, it is absolutely incredible how he has been able to predict these markets in the past months. Now, before you go and head over to his channel, I will have links below, but he has agreed to make an exclusive video just for the Crypto Zombie community today, and we're going to get into that video right now. So, without further ado, after the video, make sure you follow Team Underground. These guys are incredible, but check this out and you are going to have your mind blown.
What's up, guys, from Crypto Zombie. You guys probably don't really know me. I am Thomas from Team Underground, and I actually have my own channel, and it's quite small. I started it off a couple months ago. But the reason I started it off is for one big reason. I knew that the bottom of the bear market was going to be at 6,500, and most of my first videos were all about calling this huge move to the upside, and I've been able to make some very nice profits off this move. I'm going to exactly explain you guys how I called the bottom here at 6.5k and how I knew it so very accurately. And also, if you haven't bought Bitcoin yet, I believe that there's going to be an amazing buy opportunity coming up in probably the coming weeks. I'm also going to talk about the fact that Bitcoin might be around 15k around this summer. And I'm also going to show one piece of analysis that could say that Bitcoin is going to have a huge correction to the downside. I'm not kidding, we are right now one of the most crucial parts of the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to explain you guys everything in full detail. Now, first of all, before I tell you guys how I knew that the bottom was going to be at 6.5k, I first have to introduce you guys to some of my trading techniques that I use. Now, first of all, it's very important to know in what kind of long-term structure you are, because that will give you a lot of clues on where the price might get a good bounce. Now, if we go back to 2016, you can see something very interesting. We were actually first in a little bit of a long-term channel, and every time a Bitcoin had a bounce from this channel, it would most likely see the top of this channel. So Bitcoin pretty much did this for 1.5 years. And then before Bitcoin had that huge rally to the upside, Bitcoin actually broke the channel to the upside, and then it found support on this channel, and when that happened, Bitcoin just blew off like crazy to the upside. And then we all know that Bitcoin had this huge move to the downside, and then this channel again gave Bitcoin support. Bitcoin had a huge rally to the upside, broke the channel, and then found support on the channel, and then went to 14k before coming back down. I think you guys know this big 40% pump to the upside, and a lot of people were actually bullish, but you can see that every time a Bitcoin breaks back into this channel, it will always go all the way down to the bottom of this channel. So this pump was very nice, but Bitcoin wasn't ready yet to move to the upside. It first had to go all the way back to the bottom of this channel before it could have a huge rally to the upside. I'm going to explain you guys exactly what caused this huge pump to the upside, because this was actually a chart pattern playing out. So there are three very important chart patterns that you will see continuously playing out on the Bitcoin chart. A lot of people, they use things like head and shoulders, cup and handle, but I mostly don't see these kind of chart patterns playing out. I actually see different chart patterns playing out. Now, the first pattern that I'm going to talk about is a triangle pattern. So basically what happens, Bitcoin is in some kind of a triangle, and then it will either have a break to the downside or it will have a break to the upside. And right here you can see that Bitcoin had a huge break to the downside. So right over here, Bitcoin as well was in a triangle pattern. And you again can see how this chart pattern played out. It had a very small move to the upside, and then it had a huge crash all the way to the bottom of this channel, where it actually found support again. Another pattern that is very important is the double bottom and double top pattern. So you can see this double bottom playing out right over here. And when this double bottom played out, Bitcoin had a huge move to the upside. And when Bitcoin broke this channel to the upside, it as well set a double bottom first before it was able to move to the upside. And all the way back in 2015, before this crazy rally, Bitcoin as well set a very big double bottom. And right over here at the top of 20k, Bitcoin set a double top before correcting back to the downside again. And right over here, Bitcoin as well had a double top before it corrected back to the downside. And the third and last pattern that I'm going to talk about is the falling wedge pattern. This is a very powerful pattern as well in Bitcoin. And this falling wedge was actually the kickoff of the major rally to 20k. Now, if we go back to those triangle patterns, we can see something very importantly playing out. Bitcoin really likes to squeeze in a chart pattern. You can see the Bitcoin all the way goes to the end in a chart pattern before making a decision if it moves to the downside or to the upside. And when it makes that decision, it will have a huge rally. Right over here you can see the same thing. Bitcoin was in a triangle pattern, and then it went all the way to the end of this pattern before making a decision to move to the upside or the downside. And right over here it broke down to the downside, causing a huge crash of about 23%. And so you might think, well, great, those triangle patterns played out and that's it. But wait a second, let's actually extend some of the trend lines in this triangle pattern. Let's for instance extend this trend line out. We can see something very interesting happen. You can see how important this trend line has been in the last couple months. When Bitcoin had right over there a bounce from the top of the channel, it set a double top. Again, it set a very important chart pattern, and this caused a huge move to the downside. And then you can see the Bitcoin broke under this trend line. It stayed under this trend line. It set a very small triangle pattern, and when that triangle pattern broke to the downside, Bitcoin had a huge move to the downside. And then Bitcoin got a rejection right over there. It set a little bit of a larger double top, and right over here a smaller double top, causing Bitcoin to have a move to 6.5k. And then right over here, when Bitcoin broke this trend line, it had a huge rally to the upside. And then you guys can probably see right over here a giant double bottom with a bear trap. Now this is very important, because if you ever see a double bottom with a bear trap, then that is very bullish. I'll talk more about it in a second, but you can see this double bottom beautifully playing out to the upside. And then you can see the Bitcoin set a double bottom right over there and had a new move to the upside. And right over here, Bitcoin set a double bottom and again had a huge move to the upside. And then right over here, Bitcoin had a double top and caused this crash all the way to the downside. So you can see the importance of the double bottom and double top pattern. They are very great indications on where the price might go in the future. Now let's go back to this double bottom pattern with a bear trap. This is very interesting. So whenever you see a double bottom pattern, but it actually has a bear trap on the right side, then it mostly means that Bitcoin will have a huge blast off to the upside. Right over here at the bottom of 6.5k, you can see this pattern playing out where Bitcoin had a double bottom and then it had a very nice bear trap to the right side, and this caused a explosive rally to the upside. And you again can see this pattern playing out right over here as well, where Bitcoin set a huge double bottom, and then you can see that there's a huge bear trap, and when this played out, Bitcoin had that huge 40% pump to the upside. This is my explanation of this 40% pump to the upside. Now if you draw one more trend line like this, then you can actually see that Bitcoin was in a giant falling wedge for the last couple months that broke to the upside. Now some people believe that this pump was caused by coronavirus, but again, I wasn't able to call the bottom of this bear market. I wasn't able to call a lot of things from this pump actually on my YouTube channel before the coronavirus was actually a thing. So this was actually the falling wedge playing out. And you can actually see that every time Bitcoin touched the bottom of this falling wedge, it had huge rallies to the upside. Right over here, it had a 32% move to the upside. And then right over here, Bitcoin had a 40% move to the upside. And then right over here, Bitcoin had a 40% move to the upside. And then Bitcoin broke it for a short period of time right there. But then again, it had a 14% move to the upside. And then right over here, where I said that the bottom of the bear market was going to be, you guys can perfectly see this trend line playing out. It touched this trend line and then had a huge blast off to the upside. Now it's very important to know that Bitcoin can and mostly will have some fake outs out of big price patterns, and that is not necessarily something to be worried about. And what is also important to know is that Bitcoin really likes to squeeze between trend lines before having a big breakout to the downside or the upside. And so with that in mind, Bitcoin had this huge falling wedge. It was then squeezing between the trend line of this channel and the falling wedge. And my theory was that Bitcoin was going to come down one more time at this top, and then it was going to touch this trend line around 6.5k before having a new blast off to the upside, and then squeezing between those two trend lines and then kicking off to the upside, causing a whole new bull run. Right over here, you can see the Bitcoin is coming down one more time. It then touched this trend line, had a huge move to the upside, and then it squeezed between those two trend lines, had a new move to the upside. And then what's very important to talk about is that Bitcoin set a very small double bottom with a bear trap, and then Bitcoin had a huge blast off to the upside. Now, something very interesting is going on. What actually caused this resistance right over here? Let's go back to the triangle pattern that we saw right over here, and let's extend the bottom of this triangle pattern. We can see something very important and very big playing out. You can see that this trend line played a major role in the history of the Bitcoin price. You can see the Bitcoin found support on this important trend line, and when it broke this trend line, it had a huge move to the downside that was about 18%. And then when Bitcoin broke the wedge and set this double bottom, it was also the trend line that gave Bitcoin major resistance for about a week. You can see when Bitcoin broke above this trend line, it had a huge rally to the upside. And you can also see that Bitcoin found support on this trend line. And when that happened, Bitcoin again had a huge rally to the upside. And then you can see that Bitcoin is now topping out. And you might ask, well, why is Bitcoin topping out? The reason why that could be is because of one of the trend lines that was actually started right over here. Now, I'm not too sure about this, but you can see Bitcoin found support there, and then it found resistance right over there. Now, I did actually expect it right over there that Bitcoin wasn't going to go all the way to the top of the channel. I'm going to explain you guys exactly why I was bearish, and most of my videos were bearish as well. Because you can see the Bitcoin is going to have a huge correction to the downside. And now you can see that Bitcoin is finding support again on this white trend line. Now, the reason that Bitcoin had this huge correction to the downside is because I believe that Bitcoin is in a very bullish chart pattern. Let's for instance look back at this falling wedge. Bitcoin was in a giant falling wedge, and then it broke the falling wedge to the upside. It came back one more time, setting this giant double bottom, and then Bitcoin was ready to kick up all the way to the upside to the top of the channel. And you can see when Bitcoin was going to break this channel to the upside, it again had to set a double bottom before it could move to the upside. And right over here you can see that Bitcoin again set a double bottom before it was ready to move to the upside. So a lot of people expected Bitcoin to go to very high levels, but you can actually see that we haven't set a very large double bottom yet. You might think that this could be a double bottom, but that's not a very typical double bottom structure, because this pump is way too weak for that to play out. And so you can see the same thing as in 2015. Bitcoin broke out of a falling wedge and is now coming back down one more time, and it's likely going to set a double bottom and kick from that to the upside and have a huge rally likely to the top of this channel, which would be around 14k around the halving. I believe this is a very possible scenario as long as Bitcoin can continue to find support right over there. And if it has a new pump to the upside and breaks this high, then this is most likely going to be the start of a huge rally to the upside. So a lot of people might be bearish right now, but you can see that this is a very bullish scenario. And when we did that back in 2015, we had a huge and explosive rally to the upside. And also similarly to 2015, we are now setting a double bottom before moving to the upside. So in my opinion, if you haven't bought Bitcoin yet and you're still waiting for lower prices, now keep in mind I'm not giving any financial advice, but in my opinion it is looking like Bitcoin will soon have a huge blast off to the upside. And so right over here is a unique opportunity to buy some Bitcoin before it will blast off to the upside. So now you can actually see that Bitcoin isn't really that bearish, and it might actually be setting up for something very big. And all of this because of some very simple chart patterns and looking a bit at the history of the Bitcoin chart. Now there is one thing I do want to talk about. Do you guys remember this golden cross? When this golden cross happened, I actually saw it as a sell indication. And I posted this as well on my YouTube channel. When this golden cross was happening, you can see that Bitcoin was pretty much at the top of this likely double bottom. Now something very interesting is going on though, because if we go back to 2015, the exact same structure that Bitcoin has a lot of similarities with right now. You can see the exact same thing playing out. Look at this, we got a golden cross at the exact top of this double bottom, and then you can see that Bitcoin had another rally to the downside. It actually set a dead cross, and when a dead cross happened, that's the moment Bitcoin had that huge blast off to the upside. And this move to the upside was very big, almost 120% in just a little bit more than one single month. You can see how powerful these double bottom patterns are. And maybe similarly to 2015, Bitcoin will continue to go sideways until Bitcoin sets a dead cross. And when the dead cross happens, similarly to over there, Bitcoin will have a huge blast off to the upside. So now this is a very bullish scenario though. However, there is one big bearish scenario I want to talk about. Let's delete everything that we right now have on the chart. What kind of pattern can you now see in the long-term price action? Yes, it's a double top pattern. If Bitcoin will again get a rejection from this top, it could be a giant double top with a huge correction to the downside. This is not something that I'm expecting, but I am preparing for this scenario. And also, do you guys know that the gold chart from 2008 all the way to 2013 was playing out almost the exact same long-term structure as Bitcoin? Now, if we go to the Bitcoin chart, you can see that there were a lot of similarities with gold. I say where because look at what is happening right now. At this white area, you can see that Bitcoin was in a falling wedge. And gold as well was in some kind of a falling wedge. And look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke the falling wedge to the upside. And gold broke this falling wedge to the downside. Now, I'm not saying per definition that this is a huge fake out. And Bitcoin will go down one more time. I'm not expecting it, but I will be preparing for this. If you did, for instance, look at the gold price since 2015, you would be enabled to call most of the big rallies that you're seeing right now in Bitcoin. And maybe similarly to gold, Bitcoin as well will top out right over here, and it will set a giant double top before moving to the downside. Again, I'm not necessarily expecting this, as Bitcoin is right now doing something different than gold, but it is a scenario that could play out. But I am preparing for this just in case. So keep that in mind. There is still a very big bearish possibility that might play out for Bitcoin. At the beginning of the video, I said that Bitcoin was on an extremely crucial point on the chart right now. And as you can see, it is either going to be a giant double bottom with a huge blast off to the upside, or this might be a huge double top and Bitcoin will have a huge correction very soon. But regardless of what will happen, we will have a massive move in the coming months that will play a major importance for the future of Bitcoin. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe on my channel and I will keep you guys updated on where I expect Bitcoin to bottom out at this possible double bottom. I also want to thank Crypto Zombie for this opportunity. I hope to see you guys on my channel. Bye.
So let me know what you thought about that. I found so much value packed into that. Thomas from Team Underground, thank you so much. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, literally he has under 500 subscribers. He has under 1,000 subscribers. I don't know how more people are not watching this channel. So definitely go check out Team Underground and let me know what you guys think about that. Now, also, if you are looking to, trade Bitcoin and you do think that we could potentially go down to some of those levels that Thomas had mentioned, you also can make money by shorting Bitcoin as well. You can do this on platforms such as ByBit, for example. So if you're interested in learning how to long or short Bitcoin, I do have a tutorial on that as well. If not, buy HODL, dollar cost average. If you think we're going to the moon, I think we're going to the moon, but that's just my opinion. Also, just for everyone out there, they do have a mobile app over at ByBit. If you haven't checked it out, you could download that. And there are multiple tiers of giveaways. You can get up to $1,000 in UST. Obviously, you need a very large amount of trading volume, but that being said, I figured I would just drop that below, so I do have a link below in the description for that. Also, be sure to check out the link for Team Underground's channel, but that being said, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I know it was a little bit of a different video today, but I really hope you found some value out of that. Share this with somebody, smash the likes, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about that, but that's it for me today. Hope you have a great week. My name is K-Dub, this is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course,